What's your why? I'm sure everyone has read a book about what your why. Second one is the fact that small incremental change can make a big difference. And the third one is that small incremental change is very manageable, and yet it can yield great results.
Thank you, Viva Lifers, for being here tonight. I'm so excited to have you here on Ask Dr. Kelly OMD. This is our webinars, which are hosted 4:30 p.m. Pacific and then 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And wherever you are between or around the world, we welcome you as well. This is a live recording. You've already given us approval. This is for educational purposes only, but we also want to let you know that if you are interested in being a part of Viva Life, that since you registered, you're also able to get all of our information as far as our webinars, our podcast, as well as our affirmation room and our membership. We'll tell you a little bit about that more later, but it is not about me tonight. It's not even about Viva Life SPF me tonight. It is about Force Master Chief Retired Keith Goosby, who is going to bring you all of his knowledge, talents, experiences, and skill set so that you can take something away that you can institute tonight. So Keith, tell us the top three things you want us to know tonight, as well as a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'll start with the top three things, and our top three things are what's your why? I'm sure everyone has read a book about what your why. Second one is the fact that small incremental change can make a big difference, and the third one is that small incremental change is very manageable, and yet it can yield great results. A bit about myself. I spent 30 years in the Navy. I retired, then went to the Navy again for another 20 years. But how I got to where I am, I think, is the interesting piece. You see, there's people who are always looking for what's their purpose in life. And I didn't know what my purpose was, but people kept telling me that I was a coach and a mentor. And I'd go look in the mirror when I got home and go, who are they talking about? They can't be talking about you. And so finally one day I kind of figured, and I heard a saying that said, if enough people tell you it's raining outside, get an umbrella. Okay. If enough people who don't know each other tell you the same thing about yourself, it's probably true, good or bad. And enough people told me that, and I thought, well, let me go. Since this is what I'm given, let me use the old Stephen Covey. Then let's sharpen the saw. This the wood I'm going to cut. Let's get a sharp saw and do it.
I absolutely love that. And I've never heard that saying before. If enough people tell you it's raining, go get an umbrella. It reminds me of being in officer indoctrination school where I looked outside and saw it was raining and put my raincoat on. And a lot of people were just not believing it. And I'm like, okay, well, when you get out there and get wet, then you'll know. So thank you so much for that introduction. I do want to go back to your origin story of saying that you were not absolutely sure about what you were going to do with your purpose. But you spent, if I got the numbers right, you spent a significant amount of time in the military, and that helped you find your purpose.
It helped me discover who I was. I was who I was. People would say to me, "Hey, the military turned you into this," and I go, "No, no, no. My parents turned me into this. The military gave me opportunity to discover what I was bringing to the table." Part of that is, through curriculum, and you learn different things. I was an aircraft electrician, and I learned some things. I got into leadership positions, and I go to classes for that. But most of the what I learned from was the feedback that I received from people. And when you get the right kind of feedback, it kind of encourages you to move forward. I want to start saying this though. I was the guy who had zero self-confidence. I used to think I was shy. I wasn't shy. I just didn't know what to say. And I was the guy that even in some pretty good positions, I'd walk in a room and feel as though I was the least person there, and the air would kind of leave my lungs. Like, what do I say next? You know? And then as I learned, as people kept telling me about myself, I realized you need to believe this. I see I'm a God-fearing man as well. And I think God talks to us through different mediums and people. He sends enough people that don't know each other to tell you something about yourself. It's like, okay, I think I better get on board with this. So that's kind of my history of how I got to where I am.
Now, I think that's interesting because you said that you didn't have a lot of self confidence, but you, through mentorship, it sounds like, as well as support, then you were able, and feedback, that you were able to build that confidence. So, in regards to feedback, does it have to always be positive? Like they say, constructive feedback, or what type of feedback are you talking about? And how can that be of assistance to us as we are looking for the direction and understanding our why?
So, okay, very good. So, something you said, constructive. It depends on how we look at things. It's all constructive.
Mm,
Even if it's negative, even if it hits you in the face, it's constructive if you take it correctly. A little something someone told me, kind of off subject, but sticking to the same thing. Someone was telling me about anxiety. They said anxiety doesn't know if it's positive or negative. It just knows it's there. You get to assign to it what it is. Well, feedback is kind of the same way. It's neither positive or negative. It's simply feedback. I get to determine whether it's going to be positive or not, and whether it's going to be constructive. And so I started making it all constructive feedback.
I love that you said that because I mean, I will be honest that many of the times I have progressed to my better self or my next level because of quote unquote was intended to be negative feedback. But like you said, you took a different perspective and that became a positive feedback loop for you so that you can make a decision on, what direction do I want to go in from there?
Yeah, yeah. And may I just add a piece too as well? One of the things I talked about was what's your why?
Yeah.
Well, so back when I was an E5, predating many of you on here, back in the 1980s, okay, uh, I would.
I was 4+ years old.
Okay, I was a little bit older. Okay, okay. So back then, a couple things were happening. One, I was finding myself getting in trouble, and I was
Mm,
following my friends.
mm.
And it dawned on me something I had learned in my life is you're not a follower. You're either independent or a leader, but you're not a follower. And once I discovered that, something else happened. I came up with this saying. I'm sure someone said it before. It was I assigned to myself a personal mission statement back in the 80s, which I still use today, and it's simply called serving others. That's what I do. And I've filled many different jobs with many different job titles, but in every job, and even in the grocery store, I can serve others.
That is so important because the fact that you brought up the mission statement, a personal mission statement, that's one of the things that we talk about in Viva Life a lot of times. Your organization has a mission statement, mission, vision, values, and goals. But when you ask people, what is your personal mission statement? A lot of people have not really thought about that. So, how did you come up with the personal mission statement of serving others? And how does that align with your why?
So serving others, I hate whenever I found myself engaged in conversation with people and they had issues going on in their life, I was seeing like that guy people would come to. And again, I'm looking in the mirror going, why are they coming to you? You don't know anything, you know. But if people are getting something from it, then I'm serving them. And even back then, I realized that I was serving others. It aligned, it's particularly today with my why, because even on a bad day, and I suggest this to people sometimes, if I go back to my why, I'm energized. Why
Mhm.
gives me energy? Why gives me direction? Why gives me sustainability? And so if I go back to my why, and my why, as I discovered again, was serving others. What does that look like? Depends. What's your issue? I was sitting with the executive officer and the commanding officer on an aircraft carrier. I was the command master chief on. Big stuff, but we won't go into that. Okay. All right. And the phone rings and the XO picks up the phone and he answers it like this. He says, USS Constellation. The answer is yes. Now, what's the question? I'm like, whoa, that's deep.
That is deep.
So my why kind of, it helps sharpen my why. Okay, we'll get to yes. You may have to restructure your question, but we'll get to yes. Okay, we'll get to what you need.
I think that's great. The answer is yes. Now, what is the question? Because many people are going to get to yes, like you said. They're going to try to get to yes. They're going to try to figure out a way for us to be successful in whether it's your goal, my goal, or collaboration of both. But the fact that that just opens up and saying, you know what, it opens up the conversation, not an automatic no when you get on the phone. Because a lot of people, when you start calling the higher ranking people in organizations, they automatically think, oh, first of all, they're scared to call. And
Yes, yes,
second of
yes.
all, they're like, it's going to be an automatic no. And one of the things I tell people all the time is, what's the best they can say? But yes. What's the best they can say? But yes. So
Yeah.
when people hear that, they're like, oh, that is true. You gotta be able to ask. But in your ask, you got to be intentional about it and understand why you're asking as well.
Yes. Well, but may I add though, I may help you realize why you're asking.
Mm,
So you may have come and asked me to borrow money, but that's not your real need. Your real need is to learn how to manage. Your real need is this whatever it is you're trying to pursue with this money. I mean, there's different applications we can have with that. So maybe I need to help you reconstruct the question, but we can get to yes. And the yes is not necessarily a yes to the specific question you ask, but a yes to we're going to help you find a solution to whatever your real issue is.
yes, and I love what you're saying there because that goes back to what we talk about many times here, which is the root cause of what's going on. And as you know, as an OBGYN, I get a lot of people that come in with acute or chronic disease processes. But I always say there was something underlying that disease process that got us to where we are. Typically, it starts right here and then it manifests through your body. And then that's why you're in, to see the doctor. So thank you so much for just starting us off with the why. Was there anything you wanted to add in? A lot of people are having trouble finding their why. Is there anything you wanted to add in there about finding your why and then moving forward intentionally on that why?
Different people discover their whys in different ways. I have a nephew who's joining the Navy tomorrow, and I told him, I said, "You're dumb. You're just like me. You joined the Navy right before Thanksgiving dinner. You shouldn't have done that, okay?" I was a November joinee also. I told him, I said, "Look, I want you to do something before you go there. I want you to write down on a piece of paper why you are joining and what you hope to accomplish."
Mm,
Okay.
mhm,
Because later on, if you when you're trying to figure out why am I here, because there would be some tough days, Dr. Kelly, you spent the time. There'll be some tough days, and there'll be some times that will make you question why am I doing this? But when you know that why, okay, when you go pick up that piece of paper and look at it, you go, okay, this is why I'm here. This is what it's all about. Again, energy, direction, sustainability kind of reemerge, as we move forward. So my thought is a person can ask themselves why. I heard someone, I saw it demonstrated this way. Someone was holding a coaching conversation, asked someone, why do you do a certain thing? And the person answered, they go, yeah, but why? And they got to, yeah, but why? Three or four deep. By the time you get to about the fourth, fifth one, you go way back to childhood. You go back to some emotional something. And when you hit that emotional chord, now you understand your why. So when I
mhm.
look at why I do what I do, it's because I serve others. That's my why. I don't have to dig very deep. Okay.
Yeah, I that reminds me of a coaching symposium consortium that we did, and the leader of that gave us a plaque, and all it said on there was our name and why. I think it was 6 times, literally why. And he said,
Right.
if
Right.
you don't ask why this many times, you have not gotten to the root understanding or cause of whatever's going on. And I have that in my office to remind
Okay.
myself to
Okay.
ask more than one why. And when my son is asking me why 15 times, I remind myself that he is actually on the right path to the
Uh,
direction that he is supposed to be heading.
yes. Yes, he is. Absolutely.
Now, you also mentioned that small changes can accumulate to big impact. So, tell us a little bit about those small changes.
Okay. So, two things, if I may. The
Yeah.
first one is, uh, I spent 30 years in the Navy and couldn't swim a lick. Okay. We even had people jumping off the ship in the middle of the ocean. I'm one of the senior guys on board. They're like, I'm scared for them. And I learned out of that, Dr. Kelly, when I'm scared for other people to live their lives, I'm putting my fears on them.
Mm,
Okay. So anyway, fast forward, 60 years old. My running days are kind of coming to an end. I ran half marathons, etc. And I got to do something. And I'm in the gym looking out the window, and I'm in San Diego. If you all are in San Diego, I'm looking down at the swimming pool, and the sun is kissing the water, and there's diamonds jumping. You follow me?
mhm,
And there was a voice inside me said, "Why are you not in that water?" Because I was afraid. That I,
mhm,
re- I truly was afraid. And so The next day I had on my Hawaii looking shorts and I got in the water and incremental change. I just started, swimming the best I could. And it's amazing what happens when you do that because a lifeguard comes up to me and says, "You're trying to learn how to swim?" I go, "Yeah." She says, "Well, let me show you." And so she started helping me, right? And she taught me technique. Okay, small incremental things. Because I said, "So will I be swimming in a month?" She said, "No, you won't be swimming in a month. You still got technique. I want it all right now." And then she had to leave for another job. And there was this former Marine who was a lifeguard. He goes, "Hey, she's gone, so I'll help you now." Well, she had taught me technique. He took me to the 7 foot in and had me going to the bottom, coming up, gasping water, trying to hold on to the edge, and he's yelling at me, and etc. But those small incremental change, those small things, one step at a time. Today, I swim uh, a half mile. For some of you, that's probably nothing. For me, it's a lot. Basically, I swim 30 to 40 minutes 3 times a week. I love it. And I've done ocean swimming and I love it. Okay. But small incremental changes. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I learned how to swim in the ocean when I was much younger, right? But my
Okay.
mother's afraid to swim, and I've always wanted to get her out in the pool and say, "Let's go swimming." To the point when our son was born, I was like, "Okay, well, we're about to teach him how to swim. Let's get you there." But the fear will hold you back from so much opportunity and so much, you know, not allow you to realize the true capabilities that you have. So the fact that you decided to listen to the lifeguard and be willing to learn even at the age that you were, because life is about learning forever, has allowed you to make those small changes, those small learnings that led you to be able to swim a half a mile. I can't swim a half a mile if I wanted to. Well, if I wanted to do it, but
Yeah.
like I would get tired. You know what I'm saying? But the
Gotcha.
fact that
Gotcha.
in a different time in your life, you were willing to overcome a fear and then achieve something that you had not been able to achieve before. That truly is amazing, and that's
And,
a life lesson.
and let me just add, when I tell that story to people, most people aren't so surprised at the learning to swim. It's at the age. You see,
Hmm.
because we get to a certain age and we think I can't do, and we put all these limitations on ourselves of what we can't do.
Hmm.
It's like, oh yeah, well, how do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know you can't do it? You haven't tried it, you
Right.
know? There's a story of this
Absolutely.
guy who someone asked him, could he play piano? He'd never played before. If
Hmm.
you never played before and someone asked you, can you play piano? The answer, obvious answer is no. That wasn't his answer. His answer was, I don't know. I never tried.
There
And
you
so
go.
there you have it. So we're not starting out with a no.
I love that. So, those that are listening here, if you have something that you have been afraid to do, or you don't know if you're capable of doing because you haven't really tried it, I want you to put that in the chat as well as start getting your questions ready for Mr. Keith because he's about to end with his third topic or subject matter that he wanted to make sure that we took away. And so I'm gonna let him do that. But if you have questions or anything, or you just want to drop in the chat, what is something that you've been wanting to do, but you've been afraid to do it? And now with hearing Mr. Goosby, you know what? It might be that time. But Mr. Goosby, go back and tell us about that third topic that you wanted us to learn.
Okay. So the third topic goes back to the title of this presentation, right? One more push-up. Okay, so every year on my birthday, I started when it was very easy. I would videotape myself doing push-ups to celebrate my birthday. I would go straight. Well, this last year I had to do 71 straight push-ups.
Mm.
And next year I have to do 72.
Mm-hmm.
Small incremental change, but it's not just the incremental change, it's consistency, it's a stretch goal. I got 365 days that I have to work on. I can't take that time off if I'm going to do 72 next year, right? But I'm
Right.
only doing one more. And so what's that one more thing that each of us need to do? One more conversation we need to have, one more book to read, one more minute in our meditation. What's the one more thing we need to do? And so as I practice for this, some mornings I get up, I can crank out 40. Some mornings I can crank out 80. It's but the thing is, as long as I keep doing them, I'm having that for that small incremental change at the end of the year, August 31st, next year, Dr. Kelly, you're going to see the video. And it's going to have 72 straight push-ups in it. But it's not because on August 30th I started trying. It's because small incremental change, even taking the setbacks in between, the days I don't feel like it, adding it all together,
Mm-hmm.
and then we finally get to where we are.
Yes. And you know what? We had that question and you already started talking about it. How do you stay committed to the small daily actions, even when you don't feel like it? How do you stay committed to the small daily actions, even when you don't feel like it?
I think the best results I ever get are the days I don't feel like it.
Mm.
I tell people, let's talk gym for a minute because you were talking about the push-ups, right?
Hmm.
I just tell people, just show up. Just show up. You're going to do something. Okay, you show up and you walk over to the treadmill and go, well, I don't feel like my normal workout, but I'll walk a little bit. So just showing up is how you do it. You know that Sunday morning you didn't want to get up and go to church, but you went anyway, and then you came home hair on fire because you was all blessed and everything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You just go. You take it on anyway. Is my answer to it and how I go about it.
And you know what? I totally agree with that because just having the prep conversation between you and I, I've been going through some things over these last couple of weeks, and all I could hear you say was one more push up, Kelly.
We'll push up.
Push up. And of course, I'm about to get emotional about it just because I'm like, just that little bit. Because when you talk about how do you get up and keep going, it could be that one saying that somebody said to you that helps you take that next step.
Yeah.
Um, it's not easy, especially in some of the environments that we're in, to get up and go into work. It may not be easy to get up and maybe you're taking care of a ailing parent or that's a part of what you do for a job. And then sometimes it's not easy to tell yourself, you know what, I shouldn't have this next drink.
Yeah.
So it's those things, and to think about what is either the consequence or the goodness that will come behind me making the right choice for myself, for my body. But it really all starts here. We can do so many things if in our minds we commit to ourselves and understand that, yeah, all it does is take one more than you thought you were able to do.
And may I add this?
Yes, please.
And if all that fails, pull out your why. Why am I
Mm.
doing it in the first place?
Hmm.
Okay. What was my goal when I started?
Yes, absolutely. So we have another great question here. How do you develop the discipline to follow your why despite challenge or circumstance?
If the why is strong enough from what I've came to learn about myself,
Hmm.
because you could read a lot of things in books and great books and they give us good lessons. But when I test it on myself, if the why is strong enough, I don't have to worry about the discipline. It's
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
Okay. If the why is strong enough, if the why is overpowered by something else, okay, if it's a scale and this is my why and this is my circumstance, does my why outweigh my circumstance? And if it does, I'm going to do it. If I let my circumstance outweigh my why, then who knows which direction I'm going in. So I go back to my why. Why do I do it in the first place? Do you do it, Keith, just to put it on a video? No. That's the accountability piece. That's the one where people are looking to see, okay, did he do it? Did he do it? That's the accountability. I do it for life. I do it because I got some grandsons, four grandsons running around. I'm 71 years old. Guess what? I got to chase them down. I mean, literally.
Yeah,
Okay. I
yeah.
got things I got to do, you know. I do it for health. I do it because life would treat me how it treats me.
Hmm.
But I'm going to treat life like I know I need to treat it. There's certain things beyond my control, but for those things that are in my control, what's my why for doing it in the first place?
Yes. And you're bringing up what we talk about, you're 71, like you said, you have longevity. Clearly you have longevity. You're outliving the statistics for some men. And I just want to know, so what is your regimen? What is your health regimen? How do you, stay in the game? You talked about your push-ups, but what else is a part of your regimen to stay in the game and live a healthy and wealthy life? Because you did tell me that you retired twice and probably on the third one now. So I know there's some wealth involved in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I changed my diet. That's another thing I did.
Mhm.
But to change my diet, I had to learn more. So I
Mm.
had to open crack more books, listen to more people. Some of them knew what they were talking about, some did not. But I changed my diet. So basically, it's like for instance, my wife and I, we have two different homes, and sometimes we love to be together, but sometimes life takes us away. And so when I'm bacheloring it, you know, basically eat one big meal a day. I eat chicken, I eat a sweet potato, and I eat salad, and it tastes good.
Mhm.
And I don't need the other stuff. I love some macaroni and cheese if I can get my hands. I love some stuff, but so I discipline not only myself physically, but I discipline, what I eat. And I discipline what comes into me, right? And real quick. So when I retired from the Navy, my cholesterol was 280.
Mm.
Okay. So immediately the doctor handed me some statins. We're talking back in 2004. The doctor handed
Oh.
me some statins, right? The doctor never asked me what I ate. I could have told him why I was 280.
Hmm.
But you're eating fried chicken every day and bacon and egg sandwiches. I mean, like literally, of course it's going to be. So that kind of discipline, diet discipline helps a lot.
So was that, and I just have to ask this question, was that the stress from work? Because I see high level executives that have like, they either are like on the path, they're meditating, journaling, exercising, they have great nutrition, or they're like, I'm praying, but I'm praying to get through the next day. And their nutrition is not good and they're not exercising regularly. So what is it that was causing you not to eat as healthy as you could?
Because I thought I was invincible.
Mm.
I thought I could do. I mean, look, I was still lifting weights and doing all that stuff, and I look in the mirror. My uniform was looking all nice and everything. And I'm
I mean,
like,
you was forced, right? You was forced.
yeah, I was invincible. I could do what I want to do.
Right.
And then when I went to the doctor, sometimes there's those measurements that we can't see that tell
Mm.
you all about yourself and says, this is what you'd be looking at. By the way, since 2004, I have not taken a statin, and my cholesterol stays what the doctor calls right on the edge. But in fact, I went for a physical a couple months ago, and he said, you know what? I'm not going to recommend it because you still keep coming down every year.
Right. Yes, I love that. I think that's so important that you recognize, that you were given the data and you took the data and you decided to make that change. Because that's one of the things we talk about in Viva Life. There's really only five foods that you need to kind of focus on: fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, beans, and drinking our water. So water is not, and food is medicine, right? Food
Yeah.
is medicine. So that being said, Keith Goosby, Force, retired Keith Goosby. Thank you so much for being a part of this experience. We truly appreciate everything that you've brought to the table for us. We also had somebody that said, one of my Viva Lifers, I took my first swimming lesson at 43, and now my 65-year-old coworker just started taking piano lessons. Everybody has been teasing her and saying that she won't be able to learn. I've been encouraging her, and I'm so excited for her because I've always wanted to play the organ. So, Keith, can you leave us with some parting words and how to get in touch with you if people are interested?
Yes. So my parting words. Okay. So the way to get in touch with me, I have a coaching business that I'm starting right now, even though the Navy pays me to coach, under their banner. Destination 8000 is the name of it. What does that stand for? Destination 8000. When people climb Mount Everest, the last stop, the last camp before you go for the summit is 8,000 meters. So my goal is Destination 8000. I'm going to help you get to 8,000 meters, but I'm not going to take you to the top. That's your job. You get to the peak
Mm.
on your own. And when you get to the peak on your own, and this is the takeaway lesson for each of us, when I get there on my own, okay, I don't, no one says, Keith got me here. You say, I got me here. We can add God in there, but I got me here. Also, when you get to the peak, you look over and you see all these other peaks. And if I got to this one, I can get to those. But it starts incrementally. It starts with me getting to that first peak first.
Thank you so much for helping us get to our next peak and being able to get on top of that mountain and really see out. But really, most important, understanding that we have to start with our why and how to do that and take small incremental changes to get to the greater change. This is Dr. Kelly OMD, your board certified OBGYN and healthcare executive, here to help you live your healthiest and wealthiest life. And the way that we do that is just what we did tonight. We bring on subject matter experts that can help us get to the root cause so that you don't end up in the clinic or the hospital with a chronic or acute disease. Thank you very much for being a part of the VivaLife membership. If you're interested, we can drop that link in the chat for you, drkellyomd.com. And have a wonderful, happy, and safe week and holiday season. Viva Life.
Thank you so much.
All right, all right. Thank you for being a part of the VivaLife experience. I'm Dr. Kelly OMD, board certified OBGYN and healthcare executive. If you like what you heard, then please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. The reason why is because we are trying to educate, encourage, and inspire 1 million people to live their healthiest and wealthiest life. And this is what we're bringing you. We're bringing you educational videos. We're bringing you podcasts. We are bringing you webinars with subject matter experts, including myself, about the topics that affect you the most. So go ahead, like, subscribe, and share. We are everywhere. Have a wonderful day. Viva Life.